Hey guys, I just want to make a quick video to go over the bylaws for our newest league, the Fanatics Road to Glory League. So this is a C2C league, but it is not like any other C2C league you've been in. So this is a copycat league of the program. So we want to thank you to the program's hard work for coming up with this league type and allowing us to copy it. So it is based off of NCAA 14, the recruiting and things for that. So the first thing is communication. So once you're in the league, you will get an invitation to Discord, and you'll have access to all the channels on here besides the commissioner one, of course. But you have access to C1, C2, C3, C4, whatever conference you're in, plus all the other ones. So you can go in there and talk trash to the other conferences if you want to, or whatever you need to. Biggest thing is any official announcements that you need to do or requests need to be DM'd on Discord. So if you do it on Sleeper, Group Me, wherever it is, text, we may miss that. So make sure it is on Discord so we can catch those for anything. So you'll have some choices for your pipelines, your schemes, recruiting, things like that you may need help with. Make sure it's done on Discord. So the first thing is your financials. So the buy-in is $50 every year for that. We'll do that on LeagueSafe, and then our payouts are split 50-50 between NFL and NCAA. The coolest thing of this league is the recruiting aspect. So you're going to draft your NFL team and your NCAA team. The NCAA, you will not be able to draft those fresh. We're actually going to do a different type of recruiting process for that, so everybody has the equal opportunity to recruit all the incoming freshmen for your team. So it's based off of 24/7 sports composite. That's where we're going to get those. But there's a couple different things that we break down that recruiting into. The first thing we're going to look at is your choice of university. So this is going to be a random, your first year out. To give you an example, here's our sheet. We had our race here, our 1 through 24, and then we got to pick our schools based off of that 100-yard rush. So the thing is with your school is the actual home state that school is in. So if you're in Texas or Louisiana, California, Washington, wherever that is, you will get a bonus of 20% for anybody that's in that state. Any recruit that lives in that state, and where they live is based on what is in 247, not really where they're at. Because we know IMG and some of these other schools recruit guys to there. So whatever 247 says it is, that's where they are. So you get a 20% bonus for home state players that you recruit. The next thing, you get to choose 2 pipeline states as well. This cannot be the same state as your school's in. So if you're in Virginia, you can't choose Virginia as your pipeline to get that double dip there. So you can pick whatever 2 states you want to be in: Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, anything like that. And any of those players from those states, you get that 15% bonus on those. Pipelines are locked, and so our teams are locked for 3 years. So after 3 years, if you want to choose to change your team, you can do that, and pipelines as well. So currently, we're going into the 2023 season, so they'll be locked through 2026. Education is your next thing. So this is what's kind of important about your schools. We have done an independent rankings. Here's the school rankings that you have access to, and they go from platinum down to bronze. So your top 50 schools academically in the world, those are going to be your platinum. Your gold's your top 50, silver top 150, and bronze is anything over 150. And each of those gets a little bit different boost for education as well. So if you're a platinum, you're going to get a 20% bonus, gold 15, silver 10, and bronze is a 5. Legacy is the next thing too. So this is where your real life teams matter. So your Alabamas, your Georgias, your top schools that get those good players, you're going to get a bump for those. So if you're Alabama and you have the incoming guy coming in there, you're going to get a 10% bonus. And then you also get a 5% bonus for anybody in the SEC as well. So for a player coming to your school, you're going to get a 15% bonus. But if they go to LSU and you're in Alabama, you get a 5% bonus on those players. So the pitch. So this is where the players choose what they like the most between those. So between scheme, education, early playing time, and then prestige that we'll have in 2024. how much they value those things. So they'll get a ranking before the year, before you start recruiting. It'll be randomized. They'll get a score between 1 and 4, a 4 being they value that the most, and a 1 the least amount. And I'll show that in the recruiting video how that all breaks down. So your scheme is you get to choose different schemes. So each of these schemes is a little bit different. It could be a quarterback heavy, wide receiver, running back, tight end heavy, or it could be a balanced one too. So this is how much bonus you get for those positions that you're trying to recruit. So if there's a bunch of quarterbacks you want, you're going to want to go quarterback heavy. Same for wide receiver, things like that. And same thing with your scheme. This is locked for 3 years as well. So after your third year, so 2026, you'll be able to change your scheme to whatever it wants. So think about that long term, that if next year's class is not very quarterback heavy or running back heavy, you're going to be stuck with that scheme for 3 years. Early playing time is something you have a little bit of control over, how you draft. So we're going to base this off of an ADP or rankings of how many players your team has, their top players. So if you have an incoming running back, you have Justice Haynes or somebody coming in as a running back, but he's blocked by 2 other good running backs, say Raheem Sanders, Travion Henderson, something like that, he's not going to get that early playing time. So the way we look at this is if you have position, you have top 24 quarterbacks, top 36 running backs, top 36 receivers, and top 12 tight ends, those players will count against your early playing time. So the max you can get for that, so if you say you have no quarterbacks in the top 24, you get the total 20% bonus for playing time because they're going to get in there. They're probably going to start early. Then each position, each player you have in those top positions, that decreases your bonus by 5%. So if you have 2, you have a 10% bonus, and so on and so forth. So the max you can get is 20, and the minimum you'll get will be 5%. Prestige, this will be coming after the year. We can't determine this until after the season, of course, and it's based on how you do in the season. So your national championship, you're going to get that five-star rating for your school. And it goes all the way down to a 2-star. Your 2 stars are going to be the teams that actually that finished last in your league. So they don't get that bowl invites. We'll go into bowls in a minute as well. Something coming in 2024 that we'll go over after the season is basically your NFL team. How many players you're putting from your college team into the NFL will help you get bonuses on certain positions. Once you hit certain thresholds, that will give you bonuses on those players you're recruiting. Visits as well, we're working on that. Awards, this will go into effect for next year as well. So if you have any players on your team that hit certain awards, Davey O'Brien, the best quarterback out there, you get 10% next year on all the quarterbacks out there. If you're lucky enough to get the Heisman winner, you'll get 10% bonus on all positions. So quarterback through athlete, you'll get all the bump on that by 10%. But this does not stack. So if you have, say, Caleb Williams wins the Heisman coming in next year, you do not get that plus your Davey O'Brien if he wins both. You just get 10% for those. But if you have a Davey O'Brien and a Blechnikov winner, then you get those bonuses for each of those positions. So during the recruiting process, you get the opportunity to offer 15 scholarships to incoming freshmen. So you get a total of 15 scholarships you can offer and give out during the process. So you're considered to give a scholarship once you hit 50 points on a player. You're offering that scholarship out to that player. And once you hit 15, you're pretty much maxed out, but you can still start recruiting players and stay in the recruiting process in case you trade a player or somebody comes available that you win and you want to keep going out somebody that's higher ranked than somebody you already have. You can keep going after those players. But you can only withdraw the scholarship if it's a solo commit on your team. So if you get somebody that you're the only person in on, those are the only scholarships you can drop. So the players you'll be going after are the top 247 guys that we're going to download from 247. Composite rankings. We're not looking at Rivals, ESPN, On3. We're just looking at the composite from 247 to determine the rankings on here. If there's somebody in there you do not see, please DM one of the commissioners to let them know that there's a player that we're missing, and then you want them added to your coach book for recruiting. Excuse me. So recruiting. So you're going to have different opportunities throughout the season to recruit. So the preseason is before the season starts. You're going to get 2,000 points for the preseason, and the max bid is 100 per player. And then in season, you're going to get 500 points a week. So basically, week 1 through week 12, you're going to get 500 points a week and maximum 50 per player. And then the last week is your National Signing Day. You go back to the 2,000 points and 100 per player on that. And I'll go in that a little bit different how National Signing Day works. So your deadlines are always going to be at 11:59 p.m. on Friday nights. So make sure you get everything in on Friday nights by 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And if something happens, just please reach out to us and let us know that you're having some problems doing it. You need a couple more days because there is some leeway in there that we'll have to process things. But just let us know in advance. So if you fail to do that, get that recruiting in, most likely what's going to happen is we're going to assign the points to your top players that you have points left on. So your top 10 players, they're going to get 50 points each during the week. So make sure you get those in there. And there's a 3-strike system for that as well. All right, player commitments. So in order for a player to commit to your team, he needs 200 points on them to meet that threshold. That's not just your team. That's any team out there. So first week out there, Arch Manning, he's probably going to have bids from 5 to anywhere from 1 to 12 teams. So if they all put 100 points in there, he's probably going to have a good chance of committing the first week. So once you get that 200 points on there, the player is going to have a 1/5 chance of committing. So we'll put a random number generator on those players that are committing that have that 200 threshold. And if any number is pulled but a 5, they will continue to be in that recruiting process. If a 5 is pulled, then they will be going to be committing to your school. And I'll go into that a little bit different how the commits work. So you do have a threshold you have to meet to be into the random drawings for those. So typically we're going to look at your top 5 schools, but you have to have at least 10% of the numbers on there. If you're lucky enough to be the only person on that player that is committing, you'll get that solo commit, and those are the ones you can remove that scholarship, revoke the scholarships if you'd like. So the decision is that random generator. So we're going to take all those teams, their numbers. This is the percentage of the points they have is the likelihood that they will get that prospect. So if you have 50% on there, you have a 50% chance that you'll get the player, and so on and so forth, down to 10%. National Signing Day. So this is the last week of recruiting for the year. We want to try to get you guys to get your 15 every year. So that's why we increase the points on all the players. So all the players that hit 200 points, those all will commit. They will commit and go through the same process as above. Some exciting stuff we'll have is a transfer portal in 2024 as well. Still working on the details on that. So NCAA League, pretty standard fan tracks like all the other ones, pretty standard scoring. So this will go through week 9 of the regular season, and 6 teams will make the playoffs. The week 13, you will actually have your bowl games or the national championship that week. So that's the only difference there on the playoffs is that it's going to be 10, 11, 12 for your normal playoffs, and week 13 will be the national championship and the your bowl game. So your roster's 45 players, and then you're going to have 10 taxi spots as well. So if you notice that, the numbers don't add up there. So you're going to be drafting 45 players, but you're going to have 15 incoming freshmen. So you're going to have some choices to make, players to drop, people to put on your taxi squad, and things like that as well. And you have unlimited IRs as well. So, but first, before IR, you're going to start 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 4 flex each week. IR is unlimited. It's for any player that is red flagged. Something special we're doing this year on this league is the flag has to have a plus or a slash in it. It can't just be a red flag, because those are guys that most likely are going to play. They may or may not, but they are definitely could have an opportunity to play and they shouldn't be on your IR. But the slashes and plus, we know those guys are out. So we'll be monitoring that. So if you're taking advantage of those, we may end up having to drop players on your IR that you violated. So we will be monitoring your IRs. Waivers. So you get 5 claims, maximum 1 per week that you can do up to week 9. So up to your playoffs, you can pick up 5 players. So there'll be about 4 weeks of dead time in there where you won't be able to get somebody, but you get 1 player per week and you get 5 total claims. There will be a 15-round walk-in draft after each year. So if there'll be any freshmen or anything like that are not committed to any schools, so you will have that in there. So one thing with the draft, it is for your team. So you have to have open spots for this draft. So if you have 45 men on the roster, you're basically saying, I'm good with my team and I don't need anybody. So before the draft, you need to cut down for how many players you want to draft. So if you want all 15, you need to make sure your team's at 30 players. And just remember, your taxi squad and IR come off after the season as well. So those players will factor into this as well. Rivalries. So each year you're going to pick, or not each year, but we'll probably lock this for 3 years as well. So every year, 3 years for rivalries, you're going to pick an in-conference one and out-of-conference rival. And you will play those rivals the last week of the regular season in your NCAA and your NFL for rivalry. So pick a good guy you want to go against and give bragging rights when you beat them up every year. So bowls. So this is where we'll do week 12 or week 13. So you have your national championship and you'll have your tiers down to 1 through 4. So based on where bowl you go to, that's where you'll get those ratings 5 down to 2 for your prestige. Scoring, pre-standard scoring, tier PPR. You do get points per carries. Unfortunately, with sleeper, we cannot change that where it's just running back. So that is for all positions. You get that point per carry for rushing. NFL, of course, it's going to be all sleeper. I just said that. So your top 6 make the playoffs. Playoffs start in week 15, and in week 17, you'll have a separate. We'll have a Super Bowl as well on that one. Your roster for NFL, 35 players. There's no minimum roster requirement, but when you have 35 active, you have unlimited taxi, unlimited IR. Your taxi is only for players that are coming up from your NCAA team. So any trades for rookies or anything like that after they've come up, they cannot go to your taxi squad. Or if you draft a rookie from, say, somebody from North Dakota State or something like that, they cannot go to your taxi squad. So 2-round rookie draft every year for those guys that we miss for FCS or free agents. Pre-standard scoring, just same way as the NCAA. Trading. So basically trading goes up to playoffs in each league. If you want to trade for, say, a college player, include that to increase your chances on your NFL squad. You can do that during the playoffs, but any NCAA players that are in that trade are ineligible for your team for the playoffs. So you can make trades. Those players just can't be used on your team. Rule changes. Any rule changes that we do. So it have to be in season, have to be 75% to get those passed, and any off season rule changes is 2/3 of the vote for those. All right, guys, thanks. I'll pick this back up in recruiting on the next video. Hope you guys enjoy this league.